Alright, so Suicide Squad finally released yesterday after so much anticipation from the audience. Everybody, we're expecting something terrible. We're expecting something great. We don't know. The critics are going off on this movie. So I'm just gonna give a couple of my thoughts on the movie and break it down a little bit. I'm gonna start off by saying that I actually enjoyed watching Suicide Squad, and I found a lot of the criticisms I read in the reviews to be actually pretty accurate. It's just the problems that they had didn't bother me as much as they bothered them. Like I can totally see where they're coming from that standpoint, where the movie was really choppily put together. The directing was really crazy and chaotic, though you can make an argument that worked for the movie, but it got to a point where at points I couldn't tell what was a flashback and what wasn't, because it was going back and forth so much, and I could see what they're saying. It takes you out of the story and it takes you out of the flow of the story. That made sense to me. I know another big complaint was that a lot of the characters aren't given any time to shine, and this is also true. You barely learn anything about any of these characters. I mean, just think about it. The most you learn about these characters comes from Deadshot and Harley Quinn. These guys get the most backstory, and if you think about it, even the people that got the most backstory in the movie still barely got any backstory, and because of the lack of depth in the characters, you can't really hang on to them. You can't latch on to any of them. So I can definitely see when you're coming from someone who's a critic who understands movies deeper than most people do, and you see that the movie is very thin plot wise and it's very thin character wise. I could see definitely how it gets a low rating. It makes sense, but at the same time, I enjoyed a lot of the action. I enjoyed a lot of the character interactions between each other. I thought Harley and Deadshot was really cool, but the most interesting thing for me was coming into the movie was easily the Joker. I wanted to see what Jared Leto could do, because after Heath Ledger gave one of my if not my favorite performance in any movie ever in The Dark Knight, the bar was so high, and I tried not to compare, and I'm not going to compare, but I wanted to see. It probably had me most excited. Well, I'm not sure if he delivered because he wasn't in the movie that much. Whenever he was in it, I was kind of like, they went for this modern type Joker, and I'm not a comic book reader, but can anybody explain this to me? Like, I've always seen the Joker, especially after seeing The Dark Knight. I never saw him as a human being, even though obviously he's physically a human being. We see that, but I always saw the Joker as an entity. He was really like a physical manifestation of just mayhem. He was a force. Even if he stood in front of Superman, it would feel like he would be invincible because he felt so unstoppable as a force. But when Harley Quinn shows up and Joker starts doing things like loving people, it really gives him that human aspect that I think that he lacks in a good way. So always that relationship kind of confused me why people like it so much, because the thing I like about Joker is that he is not human. He does not show any human emotion or anything. He's physical manifestation of mayhem and evil. But when Harley Quinn shows up, he's clearly human because he falls at least somewhat in love, right? So I don't know how I feel about this going forward and with his new Joker, but I mean, we'll see as we get more Joker. I can't really judge his performance on the very little he gave, so I thought he was okay. That's the best I could say about him. I thought he was okay. Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's sexy as fuck, of course, but no, I'm just kidding. No, she was actually really good as Harley Quinn. She was magnetic. Every time she was on screen, you knew she was gonna say something and you wanted her to say something. Will Smith was also he's always magnetic. He's always capturing the screen every time he's on, and I knew Will Smith was gonna be a great Deadshot, and I was really excited when they announced him as Deadshot, and he really pulled through. I thought he might have been the best part about the entire movie, other than Margot Robbie's ass. But I'll agree with critics on this one that the things that made me stop from loving this movie or even really liking this movie is that the plot is so thin, because I mean, we knew it was going to be a bunch of bad guys getting brought together to stop something, but the person they're stopping, I'm not even going to spoil anything or anything like that, but the person that they're stopping is almost like just brought in out of nowhere. It gets really wacky at the end, and I can definitely tell that there were so many different things cut out of this movie, because it's weird how at the end of the movie, like 4 different people kept saying things like, oh, this is my friend, or like, don't hurt my friend, or like in the middle of the movie, like, this is my family. Like, no, they're not your family. You never showed us really, there was never that much bonding going on to where it's like you can say these guys have truly bonded as friends or family. That never happened. Maybe it happened if you didn't cut all those scenes out, but I guarantee you there's cut scenes, because none of them are shown bonding or having relationships, and then out of nowhere they start calling each other family and friends, and that made no sense to me. There were a couple surprise people. I was actually really impressed with Captain Boomerang. El Diablo was surprisingly probably my fourth favorite character, because number 3 would be Amanda Waller, who was really cold-blooded, just how you would expect, and she was really cool to watch. Viola Davis did a great job. The performances were really good in the movie. I can't complain about that, but it's more with the directing, the story, and how the characters were written. That's where the problems come. There's rumors that David Ayer was rushed into production and all sorts of scenes were cut out, but I don't know about all that. All I see is the final product, and it isn't as good as it could have been. I expected much more from this movie. At the start of the year, I predicted it would be my favorite superhero movie of the year. Turns out it wasn't. I still enjoyed it though. There was a lot of enjoyable things. I liked Harley Quinn, Deadshot. Like I said, the performance is really good. The action was cool, especially one scene with Deadshot. You guys will see it when you watch the movie if you haven't watched it already, but it was badass. Margot Robbie was great as Harley Quinn, and her ass looked great. So yeah, I would suggest you guys go watch it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was, at the very least, it was enjoyable. It was wacky, kind of chaotic. Alright guys, tell me what you thought about the movie if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, do you want to watch it? Alright, please comment, like, subscribe.